Oh, you legends!
Boom shakalaka mother.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Oh, I did think we were going to be here for a bit longer, but well done. Oh dear, victory bot.
Back me.
Hello, guys.
hello.
Hello, yeah, hello.
Yeah,
We're
you're
going to
right.
discuss how we're going to say hello.
We were like, who's going to take the lead here,
Yeah.
you or me? And
Yeah.
then we decided that we're
Is this
just
another
gonna...
running one? From
I
Boulder?
think it is, yes, sorry.
No, it's fine. So what was I going to...
So we were just talking a lot of science
Yeah.
before the episode. Oh, by the way, well done, by the way, for completing the level before this.
Oh, thank you.
Because I'm going to show it before the...
Yeah, I completely forgot. It's been a few weeks since
it's a good
since
start,
that.
it's a good
Sorry,
start.
we're
It's a good start.
We're both me and Jonny are leading quite busy lives at the moment, so we're trying to meet up like once every couple of weeks to literally film a couple of episodes.
Yeah.
And then carry on with our busy schedules.
Well, a little
just
behind
carnage.
the scenes for you guys here. I forgot that this is a running level. A little behind the scenes for you guys is we try and normally film. No, I'm not going to get run over. We try and normally film loads at once. But in the last, sorry, while I'm talking because I'm just not concentrating.
It's fine. You're tired. I left it till late tonight. I was at a stupid meeting.
No, it's fine. It happens. Yeah, we're a little behind the scenes. We normally film about between 6 and 8 episodes in one sitting. But for the last few weeks with this series in particular, we've had to do a couple once a week just to make up for time because we've just not got time to... Is it the D-pad?
It's the D-pad.
Oh, weird.
We're funky at the moment.
We're funky.
Yeah,
it's a funky D-pad.
Funky.
So yeah, we've been just trying to make up for the lack of availability to record at once. So the episodes are actually they're almost like... They're more relevant than the older episodes.
They are, because it literally, like, for instance, I know I probably shouldn't, yeah, we will take this. I know I shouldn't be saying this, but we are filming this on Thursday, and tomorrow's the release date of this episode.
Yeah, this is...
So this is crazy, like... Why didn't you take those boxes? Never mind. This is like...
Get on with it.
Yeah, getting on with it. This is like crazy tight
Late,
at the moment,
yeah.
like late going. We're being obvious because why not? And actually, to be honest, it does make it more relevant. And I somehow feel that actually this is probably a better way of doing it.
True.
But
it just
does
depends
put
on
strain,
people's availability.
Yeah, and it puts strain on yourself to edit these things because I'm under no illusion. I am a teacher. I am not an editor. I do science. I do not do video editing, and I wouldn't even know where to start with it or imagine what it's like. So
I like showing people who don't know how to edit or have no idea about the interface of a program like the software we use, which is Adobe, by the way. I just like showing people it, and they sort of go, huh? And I'm like, yeah, could you just put the footage on the timeline and then just put the in and out points, and you're like,
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, I don't have much interest in video editing at all.
That's fair.
I have not been trained to do it, and I don't intend to.
Oops.
Dude, life.
Yeah, I know.
You didn't get it.
Oh, was there a life?
Yes.
Was it on the TNT?
Yes.
Bugger. I thought I was expertly destroyed the crate and then missed the TNT and thought, look at me, I'm so good.
Oh my words.
It's
Anyway, yes, I wouldn't even bother trying to start, but then that would be the equivalent of me slapping you in front of a classroom with a load of kids and telling you to get on with it.
If I'm honest, the concept of that terrifies me just because, like, especially nowadays, I think kids can be really brutal.
Oh, they're fine. They are brutal, but the thing is, they have a much better rounded worldly knowledge of what is going on than I did. And actually, to be honest, that's ownage to the school system. The fact that they are sharing real issues and real problems, and kids know all about it.
That's
so
good.
that when they grow up, they've got a more rounded worldly knowledge that they can apply to being an adult, which is great. Because actually, sometimes being dumped in at the deep end is really difficult.
Oh, come on. What? How am I
I
supposed
know.
to do that? I thought I was really on top of that.
Oh, and I did too. It's really difficult, but actually, to be fair to the schooling system, this time round, they've done a much better job of showing them.
But I do think, to some extent, kids are not as... I don't want to say sheltered as we are, or we were,
no.
I say in my general... They have a lot more easy access to the real world. Like, to some degree, like, when you're kids, you're very much protected from the real world. But I feel... Well, no, but I feel like, you know, back in... I say back in our day, but when we were at school and things like that, there were less, like, significant events at our fingertips. Like, kids have smartphones nowadays. My first phone I didn't have till I was 14, and it was a little Nokia, like, Explorer's blooming hiker son of a phone. So, I just think it's more readily available, and there's less... not guidance. There's less restrictions
on them. Yeah,
on it.
You're right. And to be honest, to a certain extent, that comes with its merits, but it also comes with its problems. Because at the same time, a lot of kids won't go out and get experiences so much anymore. So life experience is limited now. So for instance, they have a much more rounded knowledge of what's happening in the world and what's going on, and can almost say their piece and almost want rights to vote because they know about things more so. But they don't have life experience, which then they lack and they miss. So for instance, they wouldn't know how to climb a tree. It's something basic, but they wouldn't go out and climb a tree. When I was young, I was up a tree all the time. I love climbing up trees. I even fell off a tree once and I on the ground hurt myself. I'm a bit of an ape. Hurt myself. But I climbed a tree. I enjoy getting outdoors, getting hands-on sometimes. As a lot of these kids don't even have that experience, which, again, means that they're missing something. So, although I didn't have as much worldly knowledge as them or know as much as going on in the news or even what was about politics, I had no clue about politics. Sometimes I couldn't care about them, but I have to now. It was, they didn't know, but they know a lot more about politics now at that age, but then they don't have much life experience, so they're more likely to hurt themselves.
Like, you've got loads of stories where I know it's different being in a band, but like the things you did while you still are technically, but when you're in the band and you had, all the things you did when you were out there gigging and whatnot, versus like nowadays where, say, like you said, kids can just look stuff up. It's life experience. You're right.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've don't like bragging, but I'd argue I've probably had more life experience than most due to the circles and the things that I've done and people I've kind of worked with.
Yeah.
So I've gained a lot of life experience. So for the age I am, I've got quite a lot, and I do enjoy sharing some of it with people if they need help.
But you're definitely at the forefront of seeing the change because you're a teacher.
Oh, 100%.
Like now, this is really like you more than any, literally, like I said, the front line. Like, you see it more than probably any of us in our social circle do. Yeah. Because you see the kids and what they're actually like now, whereas I would just sort of bump into kids walking around in the high street,
That's true, but then I'd argue that it's also a different generation. So, for instance, these are the kids of people who are in their, like...
Dang it.
I'd argue the generation above us.
Yeah.
So the people above us. Now, our kids will be very different to those kids because we're products of, again, a different generation. So, for instance, the generation between us and our parents, their kids are now at school.
Right. Okay.
Like, their generation when they're like my age, they'll be my kids. Like when they're my age, in a sense. So they'll be bringing up my kids, and so you get that big generational gap where it's different. So actually, you're looking at 70s and 80s kids who grew up in that rock and roll era and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Their kids are coming through now as
very much like freedom after the war.
Kind of
lack
stuff.
Of oppression.
Exactly. As I'm a generation of parents who are born in the 50s who are still kind of, it was
they
tough
had
times,
those like old world
kind of
values,
stuff. Yeah, not so much. They were kind of degrade a little bit, but not too far gone. So it's again different. So I've been brought up by a different background. So I've got a different background in that sense to a lot of the kids from their parents. And so it'd be interesting to see how our kids' generation turns out, and how I'd argue how the kids that I'm currently teaching, they'd be the ones responsible for that generation, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
I know what you mean.
It would be really interesting to see how that would come out and how they turn out. Sorry, I know I'm talking about
No, that was fine. That
psychology.
was really it is interesting. I really do. It really does interest me. But I think I'm not trying to be like, oh, we're special, but like our generation was like it just before technology really like took off,
over,
and we have this mix of both. I feel
like
you said, because our parents were in that generation that were like still kind of old worldly generation. Not that there's anything bad by saying that. It's just what I call it.
Yeah.
But so we've got their passed down wisdom or advice or what have you, but we've also got the technology
and the access,
and so I think we've got kind of a good mix.
I'd also argue that when the tech was coming in, although there were dodgy things there, they weren't as obvious or common as nowadays. They're really accessed. And the problem is with the 70s and 80s kids, parents, some of them know how to use tech, but they don't necessarily know the dangers of it so much, so they don't protect their kids from it. I'd argue that us, with our kids, we're more likely to be able to protect our kids more effectively, so they won't be necessarily as affected as my word, as affected as current generation kids are. So again, it'd be interesting to see the change that would happen there.
Yeah.
It's all hypothetical, and to be honest, I'm not a psychologist, so I wouldn't know.
No.
And I don't even know if there's any studies actually going on in it, but it'd be really interesting to see if there are studies.
I've seen a video, and it's quite a famous / popular one, and I can't for the life of I couldn't tell you the name of the guy who it's like an interview with this guy who's he's like a almost a guru, I'd say. Just I think he's quite a up and coming just generic mind in like social studies, or he might be a psychologist. I can't tell you for the life of me what his name is, but he has an interview with this guy, and he talks about the millennial generation, as they call it. It's called. See, I think we're just before the millennial generation.
I think we are millennials. I think we count. Are we?
There's a parameter, we have to Google it and find out. But they have this. Don't know. I was just about to say they have this obsession with technology and having everything being instant.
Oh, I don't think we're quite in that.
No. That's the thing. That's what I was saying. I think we're not quite in there. Oh, interesting.
I jumped too soon.
They're a generation where they're so used to gaining access to anything instantaneously. For example, a smartphone. And he talks about how you get a hit of dopamine when you get a text message, so we're forever texting, looking for that instant, as small as it may be, instant sweet little bit of like dopamine hit.
That high.
Yeah, that high of like, oh, I'm popular, like that kind of thing. And yeah, I'll admit I get that sometimes when I'm just chilling at home, and then all of a sudden I get a text and I'm like, ooh, who's texting me? This is great. I don't
get that. I get annoyed by text messages. I'm like, who the hell wants to contact me?
Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. Yeah, maybe I'm just a grumpy old fart. That's probably what it is.
Maybe you are more of that old timey generation than I am. In that case.
I'm not a modern thinker in that sense at all. I mean, I love my technology, so it's easy to get hold of people if I need to.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I get really miserable and grumpy
when people get hold of you when it's not convenient or you don't want. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think you're more of an old worldly a generation, as silly as that sounds.
Well, as silly as it sounds, because I love my tech.
But then again, you're quite a there's a word for it, not an oxymoron. There's a thing you like.
I contradict myself.
Yeah, you're quite a contradiction in yourself, because you're I hope you don't mind me saying, but you're a openly Christian.
Yeah.
But you're a science teacher.
Yeah.
Like, to me, those two seem polar opposites, and they would clash a lot. And I don't want to get into any like religious debates or conversations or whatever. But to me, that just is like, oh wow, that's really weird. Oh wow, nice work.
Thank you.
Did you just pick that up?
Yep.
Nice. But yeah, like, it just doesn't seem to me like, I'm sure you've had it where you've been talking to people and they say, oh, so blah, blah, like people at work, for example, and then you say, oh, you're a Christian or what have you, and they go, oh, really? I'm surprised by that. Does that happen a lot?
No, because most of the people I work with are Muslims. They are people of faith. So again, but a lot of the Muslim faith relies upon science and stuff. They do encourage it, which Christianity historically.
Oh, that's mean.
That is horrible. Historically hasn't.
No.
So Christianity has historically been quite bad with things like that.
Right.
Which is what it is.
Yeah.
That's why it's such contradictory in terms.
Yeah, maybe that's why
science so often, as Muslim faith didn't do that at all. They encouraged it.
I knew they were more so than Christian, but I didn't realise it was to that extent where they sort of embraced it more.
Oh,
that's quite cool.
They 100% embraced
it. That's really cool.
The book, the Quran, if anyone's actually interested, has a lot of scientific facts in, and they talk about psychology as well as pregnancy, the emotions and the stuff, and the physical strain it takes on the female body.
So quite modern.
And also about what do you call
it?
About no.
Oh, you sneaky beaky! Well done. No, I think. Sorry, as interesting as it is, I think we're gonna have to call it there.
There's a lot of cool stuff there. Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff about it, and I don't talk because I don't presume to study it, but I know a bit about it from just talking about it.
Yeah.
It's an interesting.
Well, you always pick up stuff from where you work,
and I'm always want to learn about. I mean, I think life's about learning. It's important.
No, good shout.
Sorry, right, so I think...
from the super serious conversation we've had about life and the generations and all that malarkey,
I think we probably need to leave
we'll
it there,
see
don't
you.
we?
We'll see you in the next episode of this these videos where we talk while we play video games.
Yeah. yeah. Say easy, guys. Sorry if there's a bit of a serious one, but fine.
Thanks a lot,
Good night.
guys. See ya.